So, anybody that has one of these Samsung dishwashers that has a water wall in it, if you've ever had an issue of your lower dishes not getting very clean, this very well may apply to you. From the factory, these guys come with this magnet that's originally bolted on here. And when you put this assembly together, this thing tracks all the way back to the rear. There's a sensor in the back that this magnet makes. Well, the problem is magnets are kind of known to degrade under heat. And if you use the dry option a lot in here, your magnet will start losing a little bit of its strength. And apparently it doesn't take much, because this magnet is still pretty strong. It'll cling to any metallic surface you put it to, and it feels pretty stout. But mine, unfortunately, lost enough strength to when your water wall would go all the way to the rear, it would just bounce and vibrate and get caught and make an awful noise. I actually have another video I'm going to splice into this that will show you this as a troubleshooting method, or I'll just post it separately. I'm not really sure yet, so I may just make this a two-part video, one with the problem and what it looks like, and this being the resolution. But your dishes will suffer, because if you're not familiar with the way this works, those jets in the rear basically shoot straight across and then hit this surface here in the back, and then that propels the water up to clean the dishes on the bottom rack. And if you have this problem, you'll know it, because all of your dishes on the bottom will come out just about in the same situation as you put them in. I researched a lot about this, and all signs were pointing to pulling this entire water wall out and then taking the back of the machine apart and replacing that sensor. Or if that didn't work, then they recommend replacing the motor. If that doesn't work, then they recommend placing the PCB board. I may have that wrong, but anyway, it's the electrical control board that sends the input from this, telling the machine where this is positioned. And of course, in my case, even if I would have changed the sensor, the motor, and the board, the problem would still exist, because this magnet simply just was not strong enough to be able to make the sensor. So my solution to that was, I'm able to get a magnet similar to this from work. This is a rare earth magnet. They're a lot stronger than the factory one. And I just used some food grade silicone to basically hold it into place. Now this thing doesn't move. It shouldn't be under any kind of undue stress. The two major factors that are going to work on this style repair is A, going to be heat, and B is going to be moisture. So using this type of silicone, which all silicone is basically 100% waterproof. The moisture part I'm not so much concerned about, but the heat, I don't know, because we always use the dry cycle on the washer. So that's just going to be one of those things I'm just going to have to hold my breath and see how well it holds up. But so far, this has worked out well. I've ran it through just a cycle, a short cycle, 60-minute cycle, and I didn't hear any foul noises or anything of that nature. And I can actually give you a demonstration of what that noise will sound like from the outside of the machine in this situation. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to start the machine this is going to track all the way to the rear. And once it gets to the rear, there's no sensor here or no magnet here to make the sensor to tell this that it's at home. So it's just going to click and bounce and rub and make all kinds of nasty noises, and it's going to sound like the whole thing's falling apart. But it's not. Yeah, it's a pretty simple fix, and I'm actually beginning to wonder how many people have went through the process of changing the sensor, the motor, then the board, only to find that their machine still doesn't work that well. And either A, gave up completely on it, bought a new one, or B, just lived with the limited use of the bottom spray system. So I'm going to shut this up and give you a demonstration of what it sounds like from the bottom, or with the door closed with the noise. Alright, simple 60 minutes. Hit start, and we shall hear it. That's the sound of the moving, the water wall moving in reverse. And there you go. That noise right there is due to not knowing where the position is of the water wall. When you start this guy up and you start hearing that noise, and what it does by default is it'll go back there, it'll vibrate, shimmy, shake, make all that noise, and then it'll attempt to send the water wall back out to this known position. Then it'll send it back, and it'll just keep doing that over and over and over. And I believe it'll do it a total of 5 times before eventually the system just rejects it all the way around. And in my case, I did not get any error codes whatsoever. There's a common code associated with this that's 7E, I believe. And they may be completely unrelated, because I don't think this thing is intelligent enough to give a fault basically saying that this water wall is not in position. So now I'm going to shut it back up and continue the cycle, and then while the door's closed, this is going to come forward and then go all the way back to the rear and stop. These are all normal noises. And actually, I may be wrong about that. It may continue to move. Imagine that, it caught it in the same place. So now it's on its way back home. And it's got just a little bit further to go, but it will eventually make its way all the way to the back, and it'll recognize that it's home. And if I'm not mistaken, the next button press is when it's going to actually start spraying the water and all that good stuff, and I'm not going to do that right now. But I hope this video helps. If you have any questions about this, or you feel I didn't get anything explained well enough to you, be sure to just leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you with a response. And happy trails on getting this fixed. If you ever find yourself in this situation, just one more clarification. That is the outside of the machine. That's my control panel. And that's my model number. But this is pretty much should cover almost all of the Samsung water wall dishwashers, as they all have the same mechanism. But hope it helps, guys. Catch you later.